Church of God. Hello. Here we are. We're just a lot of weeks into this. I don't even know. I don't keep track anymore. But I am really excited to share something with you this week. Last week, if you tuned in, you'll already know. But if you didn't, I'm going to give you a brief recap. I chose this for these 2 weeks just to read from kind of like a devotional book that I have from a woman that I follow on Instagram who is just so wonderful. If you need more gospel-focused, biblically based, real-life women in your newsfeed, I would strongly suggest you look her up. Her name is Ruth Chow Simons. That's her picture. Oh boy. And she is married and they have 6 boys. They live down in, I don't know, Colorado or something amazing. And 6 boys, they homeschool and they've done pastoral, like they've pastored churches and done all sorts of things. But she is absolutely encouraging and wonderful and just kind of like in the trenches of life and speaks in a way that like just mirrors my own life so much, my own thoughts, but then has this absolutely beautiful gifting of like not just stopping in the complaining or in the frustration, but like taking it and turning it back to the gospel and turning our eyes back to Jesus. She says a lot that she, preach to your own heart type of thing. Or her other big saying is you don't have to be blooming to be growing, which is really beautiful. So she is an artist, though, absolutely incredible. So her books are just filled with all of her own artwork and hand lettering. And so they're just so enjoyable on so many levels. And they make really great gifts. She has a couple of them out now, and I value them so much. So this one is called Beholding and Becoming the Art of Everyday Worship. And it's taken from 2 Corinthians, where it says, sorry, I should have had this. We all, with unveiled faces, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. 2 Corinthians 3:18. So as we behold God in his glory with awe and wonder, he then, through his Spirit, even just by beholding who he is and like learning more and worshiping him for that, through that, the Spirit of God transforms us into his likeness. So as we behold him, we become like him, which is why she named the book the way she did. So last week I read the first part. Her chapters are short. They're broken up into 2 parts. The first part is the beholding part, and then the second part is becoming. So last week it was called Rest is Productive, and she talked about how we can't afford not to rest. And this week is becoming Stop Making Bricks. Whether we realize it or not, we are bound bricklayers by birth. All day, every day, we gather straw, we make bricks, meet the quota, and try to perform to the standard. We relate to the Israelites enslaved in Egypt. Exodus 5, read it if you haven't lately, more than we know. Work and productivity are ceaseless taskmasters, no matter what kind of work surrounds us. The drive for more, better, faster, or higher numbers is not a modern ailment unique to a world where the World Wide Web never sleeps. Before the people of God ever stepped into the Promised Land, they had known generations of endless work under the heavy hand of the Egyptians. We read the account of their burdens and follow their journey to freedom of rest, but somehow we easily miss the parallels in our own lives. That basket of laundry waits to be folded. There are dishes in the sink. Emails are waiting in the inbox. Home projects are half complete. That conversation has not been resolved. The decision is still not made. It's hard to make room for rest when there's more work to be done. Perhaps we look around at our self-generated pace of life and wonder if this is what our loving Father had in mind. when he made the earth to complete one rotation in 24 hours. Maybe, like me, you've become painfully aware as you look at your life. Cutting corners on rest doesn't get you ahead. But it's not productivity in itself that enslaves us. The Bible warns against idleness. It's the idolizing of productivity and the freedom we think it promises if we only perform to an unobtainable standard that drives the whip. In the same way, the taskmasters of ancient Egypt continually demanded more and kept the Israelites bound to an endless cycle of fear and striving. Our addiction to work, even good work, without rest, is bondage to a self-centered resistance of God's sufficient grace and rescue. God offered freedom and a way off the hamster wheel of performance through himself. Exodus 6, 5-7. I have heard the groaning of the people of Israel whom the Egyptians hold as slaves, and I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, with great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. You shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. God did not arbitrarily lead his people out of Egypt and into the promised land via 40 years in the wilderness. It was a purposeful picture of redemption we would later know fully through the cross, through Jesus. The Lord commanded and demonstrated rest for his people to show us our limitations and his sufficient provision to take care of futile striving once and for all. When we don't rest, when we don't set the work aside, when we don't stop making bricks, even though a way through the desert to the promised land is offered to us through Jesus, we live as slaves to the burden of sin rather than freed children in Christ. The writer of Hebrews in the New Testament draws the connection for us. So then, there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God, for whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his work, as God did from his. Let us therefore strive to enter that rest, so that no one may fall by the same sort of disobedience. Hebrews 4, 9-11. Has staying ahead of the game in all areas of your life become a normal pattern for survival? Have you forgotten that though you're a bound bricklayer by birth, you're now a free child of God through redemption? It's a simple reminder we all need. We weren't made for 30-hour days when God gave us only 24. We weren't designed for self-sufficiency when God created us to need a Savior. We can set aside all our tools for building our own kingdoms and rest in him who invites and equips us to be part of his. Rest is for the ones who stop running, stop fighting, stop trying to scrounge up enough straw to be pleasing to their master. When we surrender our own brick-making tools and go with Jesus, God through Christ is already pleased with you and me. There's no building better or higher or faster that will endear you to him. All he asks is for us to lay down our bricks and rest in him. So one way that I have started really, engaging and being more aware of the rest that the Lord offers us, I think I touched on this in a video past, but a few years ago I started learning more about the Sabbath. Now, I'm so sorry. I'm just very tired. I don't know a lot about the traditional Jewish Sabbath. I do have some friends that practice portions of it, and I've heard different parts about it. I don't trust myself to repeat what I know because I don't want to. I think it's such a beautiful thing. It deserves some actual study and understanding, which I would actually love to do because that kind of stuff just fascinates me. But to say that, a few years ago I read a book called The Rest of God by Mark Buchanan. And I honestly at first couldn't even believe someone could write a book on the Sabbath because I felt it was pretty self-explanatory. It's part of the 10 Commandments. It's kind of that one commandment that we have decided like no longer applies. If you think about it, out of all the commandments that we have, the Sabbath is the one that we really don't, modern culture and in the church and stuff, we don't practice it anymore. So I was really surprised that there could actually be something, a whole book written on the Sabbath, especially when I felt like, well, obviously if you're going to do Sabbath, just means no work, no fun, you go home, you don't do anything. Like, it was very, like, not very exciting. But through this book that I read, the Lord just began to open my mind and my heart to the gift, like truly the gift that the Sabbath is. And I don't mean it's like one of those gifts that like I feel like I'm giving my children when I teach them like self-discipline and like taking care of their stuff. And yes, those things are all good, but it's like a real gift, like when I give them Lego type of gift, not like I'm going to teach you a life lesson here. So the Sabbath, there's a few things that really guide my Sabbath, and it's been a long time since I've read that book, so it's jam-packed. I just continually lend it out because people get curious and they read it. So a few things that mark my Sabbath and make it separate and holy from the rest of the week is that, one, it's a day for me to really slow down. We move very slowly that day. And it's a day where I'm just very conscious and mindful of being focused on the Lord and who He is. It's not like in a way of like, so I read my Bible for 3 hours and then I pray. It's just like, just an acknowledgement and a knowledge that He is with us, and that thinking about the last week and the ways that He provided and the ways that He came through, and like delighting in that and preparing my heart for the week ahead, and just being, just so aware of His presence and looking for it and choosing activities and ways to spend time that invite His presence and focus on who He is and learning about Him and spending time with Him. So it's just a very mindfulness of God and like of having a separate day that is like holy and set apart for Him. And then the second part of our Sabbath that I learned through the book is the delight part. Sabbath is to be a delight for us. Jesus said in Mark 2, I believe, like, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And what He basically means there is that Sabbath is a gift to us. Like, it is a genuine gift for us. And it was made to be given to us. It wasn't made for us to have like one more thing that we have to like keep and like put restrictions on and follow rules and like kind of get through, right? Like, we weren't made to keep the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made to keep us. And so he talks a lot about delight and how the day is to be one that we delight in God and we delight in how He made us and the things that bring us joy. So it's funny because he kind of blew open what I thought the Sabbath could look like. He talked about things like, and I'll always remember this because it's so like made me giggle. It's like, if you love window shopping, go window shopping on the Sabbath. If it brings you joy and delight and like honors the Lord, like, go do that. If you love hiking, go for a hike. If you love creating, create something. Like, this is the type of Sabbath rest that is pleasing to the Lord. We do things that we delight in Him and that delight us. He talks about how, on Sundays, if you have a specialty drink that you just really love, He's like, save it for Sunday. If you have like a little dessert or a treat, maybe from a bakery or something that you make, save it for Sunday and let it be part of your Sabbath rest where you drink it slowly and enjoy it. So for us, we do Sundays, we attend church and brunch with our family, and then we come home and I always have a nap. We try not to do technology, but we usually put a movie on while I'm napping, so the kids do have something to do, and we just move slow. We protect the Sabbath. My husband, he really protects it too. We don't do work on the Sabbath because that's what we really need that. Like, it's very demanding, my husband's job, and then we have the property, our acreage and our hobby farm and all of that. So there's an endless, for everyone, there's truly an endless to-do list. And it was hard for me to break up with having one more day to get done what I felt needed to get done. But the more I committed to it and the more I started doing it, I realized the rest that I gained through the Sabbath and the time that I spent with the Lord on the Sabbath and the simple acknowledgement that I can't do it all, I won't do it all, and that God is going to take care of it regardless of my help. Like, he actually doesn't need my help, has been very freeing, and it has made it so much easier to protect that time and to not get swept up in like, oh, it's an extra day, we could tackle this project and that project, or check off more things on the to-do list. It's definitely proven its weight in gold in my life, and it is something that I won't give up, the routine and the weekly break of ceasing from work, delighting in remembering who God is, what he has done, ways that he has provided in the past week, looking forward to the next week, and delighting in him and delighting in just his creation and life around me. So I would encourage you, one, do you practice a type of Sabbath? I would love to hear. I would love to hear people do like a traditional Sabbath where it's like from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, I believe, is like the Jewish Sabbath. Or I know for some families, it doesn't have to be Sunday, which is what we think Sabbath is now. It doesn't have to be Saturday. It doesn't even have to be the full day to start. I would just encourage you to like set once a week, maybe it's a Thursday night, where you set that time apart as a family or a couple or even as a single person to really rest and to stop from the striving and also like the mindless consuming, scrolling, binge watching, all that kind of stuff, and just see how it truly is a gift from the Lord, and it's very productive, and we can't really live without it, like Ruth said last week in the devotional. But thank you so much for joining me. We are getting very close. I just want to remind you that starting, I believe, November 10th, I have lined up women from that point till mid-December. It's just over a month for guests to come on and do the video because I'm going to be having my baby. And I'm wearing black, and it doesn't look very big right now. But it's a good size. I'm hanging low. I'm in pain all the time, and it's great. I'm doing great. So I'm like so ready for the baby to come out. But it's not quite done yet. So a few more weeks. But let me know. I would love to have a conversation. If you're at the point in your life where you're like, rest, oh yeah, right. That sounds like such a luxury. Or if you've been on a journey like I have, discovering like what the rest of God looks like and actually implementing it into your life and reaping the rewards and the joys of that. So put in the comment box. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time.